Good evening. Our top story this week. In California, a lawyer is taking on the child protective industry, accusing them of child trafficking by exposing children to sexual abuse for financial gain. In Alabama, a new law signed by the governor will make it easier for foster parents to adopt your kids out from under you while making it harder for you to get them back. Georgia has a higher than average death rate for children in the custody of the child protective industry. In Arizona, the governor signs a bill that will no longer require the bio kids of foster parents to be vaccinated, thus leaving foster kids vulnerable to disease. And a lack of oversight in Arizona's family court system across the state may be putting vulnerable families in challenging custody situations unnecessarily. A state senator from Florida is testifying to Congress about the bill that allows foster parents to let the kids go on overnight school field trips or stay at a friend's house without the prior written consent from CPS agents. In Kentucky, a judge gives the child protective industry 30 days to explain why it withheld child abuse information from the media. In Virginia, a state auditor's report is accusing the Richmond Department of Social Services of endangering the health and safety of children in order to reduce their foster care numbers. In Maine, the child protective industry is making a National Adoption Month attempt to improve the quality of foster homes after so many have been abused while in care in the state. And the state senator is pushing for a major overhaul of Maine's guardian ad litem system, which typically favors the mothers and where fathers routinely get screwed out of lots of money as well as the kids. In Missouri, the legislature passes a bill that would allow more distant relatives and those with family ties to take care of the stolen children instead of throwing them into foster care. In Tennessee, the newspapers are challenging a request for payment from the child protective industry for the child abuse-related documents that a court ordered them to hand over. The National Institute on Mental Health has decided to abandon the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders and focus on more realistic criteria for psychological diagnosis. And a federal judge refuses to reverse his decision that made the morning after pill freely available to girls of any age, including your own daughter. In India this week, the chairperson of the Child Welfare Committee is attacked by someone in a white car with a gun. A cop in India was suspended for misbehaving with the child welfare officer. In New Zealand, the kids are removed from a foster home after CPS agents found out that the couple's previous home had been shut down due to neglect and exploitation. And the government of Indonesia is removing kids from remote areas and placing them in Islamic religious boarding schools for re-education. In South Africa, the chief social worker testifies that her co-worker lied when she testified about her stealing money that was designated for orphaned and vulnerable children. And there's a public outcry in South Africa after a foster parent puts out an urgent message on social media requesting a place to stay for a little white girl before she is placed in a black children's home. CPS agents in Ireland are leaving the kids at risk due to their half-assed approach at investigating reports of child abuse or neglect. And in Sweden, judges ruled to permanently separate a kid from his family because he was being homeschooled. In Canada, a new national survey reveals that half of the kids in the Canadian foster care system are Aboriginal. And the Crown is appealing a no-jail decision in a case where a foster father impregnated his foster daughter. In Australia this week, more kids are on psych meds than ever before. And a former foster kid who went through 26 different homes has made it her mission in life to mentor others who are being bounced around from home to home just like she was. In England, the child protective industry is coming to terms with the fact that not all drug and alcohol abusers have difficulties with family life, childcare, or parenting capacity. The Health Information and Quality Authority are worried about the gaps in background checks on child protection workers. British police are removing hundreds of sex offenders, including pedophiles, from the sex abuse register in an attempt to protect their human rights. And a British foster parent who sexually abused children gets 18 years in jail for doing so. In entertainment news this week, Charlie Sheen's ex, Brooke Mueller, is trying to get the kids away from Charlie Sheen's ex, Denise Richards, because she's afraid that they'll see Charlie. Newt Gingrich goes on Meet the Press and slams the one-sidedness of the gay rights issue, citing where Catholics are now banned from foster care and adoption services because of their refusal to comply with the gay agenda. Michael Jackson is now facing new sexual abuse allegations from a choreographer, and a British actor is claiming to be the real father of Michael Jackson's kids, but the family doesn't want to know for sure and is asking for a legal ban on paternity tests for them. In Illinois, 3 kids from a group home are accused of a smash-and-grab burglary in a downtown cell phone store. In Kentucky, a foster parent is arraigned on 4 felony counts of first-degree sexual abuse, with his alleged victims being 2 former foster children who were in his care. In Oregon, a foster parent who was already serving time for sexual abuse gets an additional 20 years after 3 more girls come forward. And in South Carolina, a mother is charged with threatening a CPS agent after being told that she couldn't see her kids without supervision. In New Jersey, a man is indicted in the murder of his girlfriend's 1-year-old foster child. The U.S. Army major from New Jersey and his wife were accused of breaking the bones of, withholding food from, and forcing their foster kids to eat hot sauce. And in Pennsylvania, a couple of foster parents are accused of beating a child so badly that he needed 18 stitches to close a cut on his cheek. In California, Fresno County is appealing a lawsuit that they lost due to a child protective industry's failure to protect a little boy who was killed by his mother and her boyfriend. Two young sisters from San Jose, California are found safe after running away and thrown right back into the dangerous foster care system. In Massachusetts, the father of a little rapper who spanks booty is in trouble again after a cop pulls him over and says he smelled pot in the car, then rats him out to the CPS even though he couldn't find anything. In North Carolina, a woman is using her status as a foster parent to draw up sympathy, raise money, and fight against her house being foreclosed upon. And finally, tonight in Washington, a private agency is suing the state for removing kids from their foster homes without proper notice or explanation after they had already been removed from their real parents, oftentimes without due process or legitimate justification. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.